When I got into the hobby of watches again about 3 years ago, every time I saw a photo of any model of the Rolex Explorer, I felt something of a Stendhal syndrome. Something in its design made my heart beat faster. This drove me to learn more about this watch, design and history. And after not much time I understood this was what it's called my Grail watch. The watch that matched all I wanted in a watch for a lifetime. And I am kind of a mountaineer, not that much anymore, but the mountains near where I live are my natural second home. And every time I went to the mountain, I carried a watch with me, always. I had the plan to take more time to make this review, but I have decided to make it sooner so you are aware of one of its main faults, because this watch might not be for you. But more on this later. The Rolex Explorer was created to celebrate the summit of Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay in 1953. They wore a modified Rolex Oyster Perpetual and a Smith's watch. By the way, nothing to do with the current Smith's brand owner, I truly advise to avoid at all costs. And Rolex had a great success creating the Rolex Explorer, inspired by this achievement, made the iconic triangle at 12 with the 3, 6 and 9 numerals. Of all the Rolex Explorers, the 1016 has been the most iconic of them all. After the Rolex 1016, Rolex released the reference 14270, and after that the 114270, and all of them were from around 36mm. Then the reference 214270 grew the watch from 36 mils to 39. This reference has been recently discontinued to present the new Rolex Explorer, the reference 124270. This is the new fully redesigned Rolex Explorer, and this new watch is back to 36 mils. Seems a strange move from Rolex, but returning to the 36mm size might be a matter of the trend towards smaller, classier watches to do it all. Also establishes the fact that exploring watches need not to interfere with other exploring gear. And by the way, I will tell in a new video how I got this watch from the ID without prior purchase history and no waiting list, so stay tuned for this one. Before I get into the review, I want to show you what I'm wearing. This is the Trust Meteor in black. It has some inspiration in the Explorer, as you can see. And now let's cut to the chase. First, let's see the dimensions. Well, the case diameter is 35.4 and with crown 38mm, so it's not exactly 36mm, it's just a smidgen less than that. And maybe this is the reason the lugs are of 19mm. It has a height of 11.6, lug to lug distance 42.8, lug to end link 45.5, because it's a male end link and it protrudes a little bit from the watch. As I said, the lug size is 19, the weight of the watch with the bracelet is 120 grams, and the head alone is 51 grams. The bracelet tapers from 19 to 40 millimeters, and the clasp is 16.1 millimeters wide. All things considered, I think this has the perfect proportions. If you're watching this, it is probable that you are into watches. If so, the Explorer is a watch design that you will have seen countless times. Copied, imitated, inspired. This is the gentleman of the exploring watches. There's a master genius behind this new design. Still an Explorer, but brand new from the roots to the final works. Seems not to rely on other models, but was designed from scratch to be the ultimate Explorer. At least for a few years, I guess. I think this has the best design, in my opinion, of course. It is an icon. From the early versions to the 1016 that pretty much established the pattern others would follow, copy, or feel inspired by. Proportions are perfectly considered, from the watch head, numerals, markers, the hands, and the unique bracelet. It is, of course, a very symmetric watch, And it all revolves around the idea that less is more. Less complications means less chances of things going wrong. And this, while exploring, is a very important factor to consider. The lugs are shaped thicker, and while it is a 35.4 mils watch, it feels more like a 37mm one. The 19mm lug width seems to make sense because of the proportions of the whole head, making it more elegant, more natural and integrated. The watch has polished sides in the case and bracelet. The milled clasp is also polished, and also the bezel is polished. And the rest of the horizontal surfaces, they have a perfect brushing. Actually, it's the most perfect brushing I have ever seen. The watch plays with the light like playing a magic trick. And the back, well, the very simple nothing to see here back of the Rolex. This is the watch with a function, and it accomplishes perfectly. It's a 300, simple, clear, with great lume. It has 100 meters water resistance with double lock, sapphire crystal, and gives the time with an outstanding accuracy, and this will last for years. This watch will not mess up with your mountain gear or your sleeves while exploring your office. It's easy to see from all the angles and in all conditions. The chromalite gives a blue tint to the lume that, while not seco bright, works perfectly in the dark and moving from sunny areas to the shadows, and the light will last all night. The oyster bracelet is of great quality. It will not get loose, will not move up and down, thus putting less stress to the spring bars. I will tell you why this so later. And the spring bars are very solid, with very wide ends. This bracelet has an easy-link extension, very easy to do without any tool, and it adds 5mm you can use when your wrist expands in hot weather, for instance. I have noticed that the clasp is a little bit difficult to open from different angles. It's not like it's not possible for the watch to get stolen, of course, but it's not as easy to open as other clasps, even with security latches. First, you need to put your fingernail under the crown and then change the position of the hand to open it. It's very easy to open, but you have to make this weird movement that I guess for somebody who wants to steal the watch, they're not that as simple as easy as with other watches. And this is just my guess. This Explorer has the new 32-30 movement, and it seems to be a rock solid one. I have seen prior similar movements in the dial while servicing and from a couple of dates ago, and they are all awesome. Very well thought and reliable, and this one will not be less. As a matter of fact, it adds some advancements, like paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring, high-performance paraflex shock absorbers, accuracy from +2 to -2 seconds a day, and around 70 hours power reserve. Mine is running at plus 0.1 seconds a day, which is awesome. So this is a movement that it's totally silent, you cannot hear anything while having it on the wrist. It's shock resistant and anti-magnetic, although I don't know how much of anti-magnetism it has, but I guess it can stand some magnetic fields. Now I want to discuss the positives of this watch. This is one of the most versatile watches you can imagine. This is perfect for almost any occasion. You can take it to the pool, to the beach, to the mountain of course. You can take it inside a cave, to your family meetings, special occasions, and of course the work environment. Maybe it's not a tuxedo watch, not a pure dress watch, but you can use it with almost anything, from informal to formal sports or similar. With this watch you also have an icon. Every time I look at it, it makes me smile. And at the same time it's very understated. It doesn't call unwanted attention, which also might be a negative if you want to show off your Rolex. But for me, this is a positive. Nobody notices it's a Rolex, such an expensive watch. And although some people might find it a little bit boring, it is not so for me, because observing it is like watching the fruit of perfect timeless beauty in its simplicity. And it is something that can withstand time and moods and anything you can throw at this watch. It is a very reliable watch with 10-year service intervals. This is built to last for a lifetime and more. So it is solid, reliable, and although not a big consideration for me, it has a solid resale value at plus 3,000 euros or more over retail, which I believe it's crazy, but maybe it will settle in the future. And as I said, I think the size is perfect. 36 mils for this watch is the perfect size for the Explorer. It is practical, you can wear it without even noticing that you're wearing the watch, and it's always there whenever you need it. Now for the negatives, and I didn't think I was going to find so many, but well, some are minor and well known, but others come as a surprise for me. Okay, now the simple things. It's a scratch magnet. It uses the 904L steel that Rolex uses, and this is quite easy to scratch, but we all know that, and it's supposed to be more resistant to corrosion. Well, it's okay, you also can polish if you want to get rid of the small scratches. It is not a cheap watch, it's quite expensive. Of course, it's a luxury watch and it's a Rolex and you're paying a lot of money for the brand recognition. But it is a very high quality watch. I think the price, considering the brand and the quality, I think it's high, but I think it's understandable and even reasonable. I'm not expert in this, but if you took the brand recognition out of the price, could be easily a 4,000 euros watch. Another obvious negative is that it's really hard to get from an AD. But we all know that. My case has been an exception, but it is hard. You might need to be in the waiting list if you are even able to be put in that list. Another minor complaint is that it doesn't have the longest bracelet. There are not many spare links. Actually, I am using all the links and I have a 7.5 inch 19 centimeter wrist. I only have one micro adjustment left and the easy link extension. I don't know how much can a link for this bracelet cost, but maybe it's worth considering getting an extra link for larger wrists. And now for the biggest negative, and it is the semi-integrated 19mm proprietary bracelet. Okay, it is 19mm width, which is not that bad. I mean, you can find 19mm straps. There are not so many, but well, that's something you can live with. It is possible to put 20mm straps in 19mm width watch if you are able to squeeze them. But this is not the big problem here. The watch case actually is modified to accept the protrusion of the end link of this bracelet. So the case is not flat on the sides and has some openings that might damage your straps. Also, the spring bars are very close to the case. So if the strap is a little bit thick, it will not fit easily. Also, for instance, it's almost impossible to put an 8 on this watch if they are over 1mm thick, which most of them are, usually 1.2, 1.4 millimeters. So the gap between the case and the spring bar is so small that only the thinnest NATOs can be put in this watch. This being said, I have been able to find some straps and NATOs to put on the watch. I will leave some links below, not affiliated links or anything like that, so I don't get anything for recommending these straps and NATOs, and putting them is on your own risk. But it hasn't been easy at all. But well, I like to change straps and stuff, so I had to try it. And it works very well, because this watch is very versatile, and anything that you can put on it, any strap or any NATO, it will look awesome. So in conclusion, this could have easily been the perfect Rolex Explorer, and mostly it is. Full lume numerals and indexes, modern bracelet, great movement, and totally evolved design. But Rolex, I think, went too far and removed the possibility to easily put other straps, which was one of the most great features of this simple dial watch. I don't think this will be a deal breaker for many. Even if you want to change straps, you will find the way to do it as I did. But here is something that, with a real justification, has made, in my humble opinion, an otherwise perfect watch imperfect by design. Maybe this design makes the end links sturdier and less prone to, break or bend or anything like that. I don't think that was a problem before. If somebody knows the reason for this design, would be great to read in the comments. If Rolex had made this watch with a normal case side, with 20mm lugs and 36.5 or 37mm diameter, it would have made this the best Explorer and probably the best field exploring watch ever. Maybe even more attractive than the 1016, which in my case, it would have been a very high praise. Well, thank you for watching, and I would love to read your comments, what you think about this semi-integrated bracelet, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.